I believe that everybody has a story, and I'm fascinated to hear them. So come with me as we take a walk down Fascination Street.
You know that 3 o'clock energy lag that everybody feels? Where normally you're reaching for a Coca-Cola or a Starbucks? Well, now you don't have to. Forget everything that you think you know about inhalation, and imagine a world where inhaled products are designed for health and wellness. Imagine inhaled products engineered to be free of toxins and instead provide a functional benefit with every breath. Well, that world is now. Introducing electronic caffeine from the good folks at Inhale Health. Inhalation allows caffeine to be absorbed instantaneously, providing faster effects than possible through beverages or pills. Instead of rushing to your favorite soft drink or Starbucks for a dump truck full of calories, now you can just reach into your pocket and pull out your disposable caffeine vape pen. Each 3-second inhalation introduces 16 micrograms of caffeine directly into your bloodstream. So finally, that midday burst of energy you're looking for is just a breath away. Each vape pen comes preloaded with 400 breaths, which is roughly a 1-month supply, and is already charged. You don't need to refill it, you don't need to recharge it. When you're done, simply throw it in the recycle bin and order another one. I love this product so much that I actually reached out to the company and asked them to sponsor my show. And they agreed. So here's what they're going to do. Every one of my listeners who goes to inhalehealth.com and orders any of their 7 different vape pen products is going to get a 10% discount plus free shipping when you put in the promo code FSP as in Fascination Street Podcast. So there it is, guys. That's inhalehealth.com, 10% off any of their 7 products, free shipping. Promo code FSP. So give it a shot. You'll be glad you did. Hi, everybody. This is Steve Owens from Fascination Street Podcast. I really appreciate your listening to the show. I'm having a lot of fun getting to talk to some really fascinating people, and I want to continue doing this, but I need your help. I need you to subscribe and tell people about the show. But the biggest thing you can do to help me is to rate and review the show on iTunes or wherever you listen through. As a special thank you, anyone who rates and or reviews the show, send me a screenshot as proof and I will mail you a set of 3 pair of silk cufflinks courtesy of my friends at Menlo House. You can send it via Twitter to @FascinationSTPD, via Instagram to FascinationStreetPod, or email me at FascinationStreetPod@gmail.com. I really appreciate all of you for listening and for helping. Thank you so much. Now let's get to this week's guest. What's up, guys? Welcome back. This episode is with Hannah Fairlight. The name Hannah Fairlight might sound familiar because she is the other half of the duo with previous guest Raelyn Nelson. In this episode, we talk about Hannah being raised by hippies and how that influenced her musically. We talk about her writing and recording her first album at 13 and playing at CBGB's for her first gig. We talk about her debut film role in Pitch Perfect 3, as well as her band and her solo career as Hannah Fairlight. Enjoy, guys. This is Hannah Fairlight.
Yeah, talk to me, yeah.
Hello.
Hi there. This is Hannah. Is it Steve?
It is Steve. Welcome to Fascination Street Podcast. Hannah Fairlight, how are you doing this afternoon, young lady?
Howdy, howdy, howdy. I'm good, man. I'm sitting on my porch. My son is not asleep, but he's watching Curious George, and will hopefully be engaged in that for the next little while or so.
Fan-freaking-tastic. Now, those who listen to my show already know your name. They know your name from Pitch Perfect 3, from and you've already been mentioned a couple of times by 2 previous guests. So, tell me about you. Is your name really Hannah Fairlight?
My name really is Hannah Fairlight, but my legal last name is Schluter. And I decided probably around 19 years old that was really hard for people to pronounce. and that I should probably take my middle name as my stage name, and that's what it's been.
So your middle name is Fairlight?
Yep. My
All right.
mom actually considered naming me that as my first name, but she thought that might be maybe too out there. I used to be embarrassed by how hippie it is, but now I love it.
So let's talk about your hippie parents for a minute.
Yeah.
So where are your parents
Sure.
from?
My parents are from Indiana. They met at Purdue University, and they were both in the forestry and ecology program there. And they had my brother, and then they moved to Texas, and my father was working in logging in Galveston, so I was born in Texas. And then we kind of kept moving, and my dad kept taking different jobs, and I grew up all over the Midwest, always really small towns. And we landed in Grundy Center, Iowa. We lived in Indiana, Minnesota, and Iowa in several different towns. And I went to high school there, and, you know, my family, we grew up camping and traveling. We've been to every national state park, many state parks. We've been to every lighthouse in the northern Midwest because my parents are lighthouse enthusiasts. But yeah, we just did lots of camping growing up. I can remember, you know, almost every weekend we were always out under the stars and in nature, and that was something that was really important to my parents, and I carry that with me. And so that's my hippie parents. My hippie parents were very against the grain, so I found it challenging after all of the experiences I had to live in some different cities that were a little bit more closed-minded in the smaller towns in the Midwest. But I think that gave me all the fuel, you know, to write about it. So.
Well, that sounds dope. So you said that your family is a fan of lighthouses?
Yeah.
Okay, so
both my parents love lighthouses.
So there's this song, I don't know if you've heard it, by a bluegrass band called Nickel Creek, and the song is called Lighthouse.
I know that song. I love Nickel Creek.
Yeah,
I think that's a beautiful song.
Every
So
time
great.
I hear that song, I just weep like a child. I mean, I can't handle the emotion of that song. That song just crumbles me.
I agree. I feel the same way about it.
So when
so
did
beautiful that the bands that can provoke that from people. I love that about them.
Indeed, they're really good at that. Even their jaunty songs that don't really have anything to say have something to say. Like there's a song about a fox in a hen house. I mean, it's so awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so tell me when you decided to get into music.
Well, that happened really early. My parents, being who they were, and my mom stayed at home and raised us and was involved in the libraries and a lot of arts and culture. She had wanted a piano when she was growing up in her household, but she had just played cello, and her parents wouldn't let her get one. So she rented a piano for me because I took a liking to it from probably around 4 years old, just very young. I was just taking a strong liking to music, and my dad he has a big record collection, and he used to play like Dan Fogelberg and Paul Simon and Carole King and people like that. So I had these songwriters sort of inside me already, and I used to, you know, ask my babysitters to teach me melodies on this rented upright Kawai piano. And we didn't have television for a number of years. Eventually, when we did, it was black and white. We had like 3 channels. My parents raised us like it was like a decade and a half earlier. And I played the piano night and day from that point on. And I started taking classical piano lessons when I was 8. And I took those lessons until I was 18. And I went to band camp. Because I started playing alto saxophone when I was 9, and I would go to band camp in the summers at Luther College in Iowa, and I loved it, and I did their piano program there and the jazz band, and in their piano program, I was just such a weirdo. Like, everybody was so focused, and I was playing, like, a Lifehouse song, or, I don't know, it was just, I was really into rock and roll, and it was around 13 years old when I started to write a bunch, and I wrote my first song, Don't Know, and I wrote all these crazy songs called like My Little Bag of Confusion, and so I had this whole album's worth of songs, and one of the counselors from Luther College helped me produce it and record it. I have it. It's not out and available because it's kind of terrifying. I mean, it's great for what it is, but it's just me and the piano, and it's 13 songs, and so I was writing a lot then, and I was really brooding. I started listening to Tori Amos and sort of molding my classical music into these strange rock and roll power ballad crazy songs, and kind of just grew from there. And when I left home, I did a foreign exchange in Peru, and when I left Peru, I had applied to a number of film schools. I wanted to go for film and television because I've taken a liking to using the camera and doing that in high school a lot. I got accepted to NYU, and I moved to New York, and honestly, I really just wanted to play music. It was an expensive path that I don't regret for a second, because I now do audio engineering, and I mean, it's an amazing supplemental bread and butter, and it connects me to the entertainment world. But I played my first gig at CBGB in New York right before it closed. It was amazed by, because I didn't really know what it was and know the history. But as I grew into understanding different musicians in the history of New York, I fell in love with Patti Smith and others that dominated that space. So it all kind of happened in its own organic way. And I'm so grateful for New York as my sort of breeding ground for my music, because it put me through a lot of hard challenges, and that helped me become kind of tough. And anyway, that's the long-winded answer, but that's how I started doing music.
Well, that's a great answer.
I wanted to play in venues when I was 13, I wanted to be gigging already, but I was very audacious.
Sure. So CBGB's is huge.
Oh my gosh, I know. It really does amaze me that was my first experience. It was so interesting too, because I actually I didn't have anything to give to the clubs. I just had to go to the clubs. I didn't even have a computer or a cell phone at the time. This was 12 years ago. And I went to the club and auditioned with my guitar. And I only knew like 5 chords at the time, because I had just started learning the guitar by myself. And I was just, strong-willed enough to just give it a go. I had a set of songs, and I went for it. And it went over really well. I had like 75 people or something at the show, just because I was a freshman in college, and I got everybody to come, and I made money, and they recorded it, so I had a demo I could use to get other gigs, and it worked out really well.
That is amazing. That was your first gig, and it did all those things for you. Why did you even go there?
To CBGB's, you know what? I'm not sure. My apartment, which I'm really lucky about, although it compounded the amount of money I had to borrow for school, I was living in the residence hall on 3rd Avenue between 11th and 12th Street, right across from like Webster Hall and that big Lowe's theater. So honestly, it was just in walking distance, and I went into the East Village and the Lower East Side first, so it was one of the first places I went to, and that's how it worked out. And I feel like it was one of those magic beginner's luck moments in my life, because it propelled me into doing more and making lots of mistakes. My second show, I played exactly like my first show. It was at the bitter end, and I didn't know any better, because I'd never played a show like that before. And so I did all the same banter, and like all the same people were there, and like, what is she doing? So you live and learn. Like, you just have to go through that and figure it out. Oh, I should change it up.
That's really funny. You said that your first show at CBGB's was recorded. Do you still have it?
I do, and I even still have a video of it. I have it on VHS. I believe I have a ripped copy of it on DVD too, but yeah, I have it on VHS, and thankfully I recorded it onto a VHS tape, because my camera with all the footage that I was taking at the time in those early years was stolen, and all my footage was gone, which is really sad. But I still have the VHS of it, and I want to put it online or something, but I guess I just have to film my television and post it to YouTube or something.
Nah, you can convert it. There's ways to convert it. But, that also might be a piece of good luck because have you ever heard of Kevin Smith?
Kevin Smith.
Yeah, he did like Dogma and Clerks and Mallrats. He was the director, the writer.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Yeah. For sure.
So the very first movie that he ever wrote, he had the whole script and everything in his backpack, and he went to New York, and his backpack was stolen with that script in it, and then he made Clerks after that. But his very first movie was stolen, so maybe you're onto something.
Shit. Yeah, it was a weird turning point for me because at that point I documented like everything, and I sort of broke from documenting stuff, but I think in a way, yeah, my writing deepened or something because I wasn't worried about that anymore. I don't know. So that was that. I played music in New York, and then I left school after 2 years and joined a band called Girls Don't Cry. It was a power pop, all-female band with like electronic elements to it, kind of throwbacky, very go-go-y. It was cool. We were together for 2 years and change, and it was very produced. It was like the Spice Girls. So I auditioned for it through Kenny at the bitter end. He tossed it to me. I was going out west on this camping trip, and he told me about this band and this big audition. And I auditioned for these producers, and they auditioned like hundreds of girls. And so I was like the front person, but we were all kind of front people. Like I had this crazy blonde hair at the time, and I guess I fit the bill, but they had me on rhythm guitar and did that for 2 years. And we were all like, really pushing hard. We did some showcases for RCA group, and it never really came through, and I'm glad about that because I don't think that our relationships were what they should have been for us to take on like bigger challenges with the industry and stuff. We were so young, and we really didn't like our producers either, to be honest. They were kind of manipulative, and it was a strange time, but it was a learning experience for sure. And we had a fancy studio, and they put instruments in our hands, and we were like, okay, well, that's cool. So I went to England for a year and was an intern with the BBC in London, and then came back to New York, and then ultimately moved to Australia for 2 years. And so I tried the music scene on in both of those places and had very positive experiences, although I found that ultimately in Australia, even though I adored living there and adored the music scene, it seems that the artists coming out of Australia were largely going to Europe and going to America to break. So I felt like I had a lot of work to do and I needed to come home. So I came home, sadly. I missed it a lot. I really loved it there. I hope to go back, hopefully playing music. Then shortly thereafter, made my way back to New York, and then I landed an audio job in Atlanta that put me in the path of Nashville, and always been curious about Nashville, and I had this weird pull toward it. It found me, and it sort of hit me at the right time in my life, and I wound up moving here.
When you say you found an audio job in Atlanta that ultimately led you to Nashville, is that in the television business?
Yes. So I've done audio for film and television for the last 12 or so years. I am a location mixer mainly, so I've done mainly reality TV. So I'm the person that like mics the cast and records the audio and sends it to the cameras and the producers to listen. And it's been a very colorful line of work, but I was down there on the show Love and Hip Hop at the time, which is a VH1 reality show. It's like creme de la creme of like people fighting and people stealing people's girlfriends show. It's, it is what it is. But it's all within like the B and C list for hip hop community. And there was one in New York too that I worked on. So I heard the buzz from the B's was that there was a show, Crazy Heart, doing auditions in Nashville. And I had come up here working on my first album that I sort of was pushing with Hannah Fairlight with a producer in Franklin. And so I would do audio down in Atlanta. Actually, at this time, I was working then on a different show in a bra shop, supervising that called Double Divas. And so we'd work on the Friday after my work week and drive up on the weekend and work on this album and then drive back and start my work week. And I did that for a number of weeks. And on one of those weekends, I did the audition for Crazy Hearts, and I got in. So I was on the show Crazy Hearts Nashville, and I had very mixed reviews of how that went, but it ultimately led me to many other wonderful things, and eventually, Pitch Perfect. And so I'm grateful for the exposure and the experience yet again. I'm glad that just by a little bit of enthusiasm and word of mouth, I was able to find that experience, and be what they were looking for. I wouldn't do it again, ever, unless I was in total control or unless it's scripted. I'm only doing scripted work now. I just don't like the nature of most of what reality is. So there's that.
Well, that all makes sense. So what was Crazy Heart Nashville? Was that like what was it? Explain the show.
Crazy Hearts Nashville was a reality TV show on A&E, and it aired one season in 2014, and it then went away. It didn't do well. It came on right after Duck Dynasty, so if that gives you any sort of a timeline in your brain, it was when Duck Dynasty was still big, and it was on A&E. So that was our lead-in, so the audiences that were watching that would ultimately watch our show right after it. So millions of people watched it. Luckily, millions of people only really watched the first 3 episodes because it got a little mean. It was about musicians in Nashville. We were all unknown. My character was the new girl in town, and I was kind of the heartbreaker. They had me sort of like mess up people's relationships, and they were already messed up, I guess. But it was a lot of that, and it wasn't as much music as we would have all hoped for, and I think audiences would have hoped for. So, it didn't really work for them or for us. And one of the characters on the show actually said some pretty destructive things about my music, and so I just got hit with a lot of hate mail for a little while, and it was hard for that to be part of what defined my beginning in Nashville. The flip side of the coin is I got to record and do this. I co-arranged with Jason Lenning, who's this amazingly talented producer, an arrangement of Joan Jett's song, Hate Myself for Loving You. I got to record that at Ocean Way, and Cheryl Crow's drummer, Fred, was the drummer. And so I worked with these incredibly talented musicians at what I see as one of the best recording studios in Nashville. So some really beautiful gems came from that experience. And I met my husband, and he's awesome. He plays with the Gene Simmons band now, and he's an incredibly talented guitar player and a wonderful friend and sort of hinge in the rock scene here. So it's been a really beautiful ride. So I'm so grateful for everything that Crazy Hearts brought to me.
Well, that sounds really. It sounds like it changed your life.
It did. Nashville totally has changed my life, and the show did in many ways. It made me want to ruthlessly be myself and not compromise, and that's good. It just made me reanalyze, and I feel like it's affected my music in a really positive way. And you can't just let people make you stop. I don't know, just it taught me to believe in my ideas. So that's good, I guess.
One of the questions I was going to ask you is, with this burgeoning music career, and you seem to be it seems like you're spinning a lot of different plates right now. You're a mom, you're a wife, you're in, you have solo things, you have a film and television career. So in all of that, how important is it for you to be yourself?
Oh my God, it's the most important thing. It's really challenging right now because I feel like my creative impulses can't be as spontaneous as they used to be. Obviously, I'm constantly on call, and I love that my husband and I have the careers that we have, and they're both growing in positive ways, and we're working for it. But we're grateful that we get to be with Rory, but we do have a lot on our hands while he's so young. That being said, my heart really, really wants to work more on music. I am keeping myself open to every opportunity, and I want to do more on screen work. I'm actually shopping for agents mainly because I see that they feed into each other, and I see that my strengths as a musician help me in many ways for certain kinds of gigs that I can get with the screen stuff. They've always played into each other, and I feel like it's better than carrying a heavy audio bag and breaking my back, which I can't do forever. But I intend to do music and whatever else in entertainment forever. It's definitely my calling and who I am. And I only want to be myself. I feel like it's such an interesting thing that I'm still finding myself through all of it. I play lots of different instruments. I think that I'm a very jack of all trades, master of none. Not jack of all trades, but jack of a few different trades. And I'm really trying to focus in on where my heart wants to be and what I want to do one thing at a time. I'm botting a new Hannah Fairlight album, and it's really exciting but really daunting because I have been just solely focusing on for about this past 6 to 8 months. It's been awesome, and we're doing really cool stuff, but I have that other part of me that needs to keep to work, and I'm getting like super bad labor pains. You know what I mean? I gotta get that. I gotta give birth to like 7 children, like 14 children.
Well, that sounds insanely painful. Let's talk about your music. How many instruments do you play?
Mainly just 3. I play piano, guitar, and alto saxophone. I can play bass. I can play little drums. I play this little squeeze box, but I wouldn't say I play accordion. But I like to try different instruments, and I like to record with them. So I've picked up stuff over the years, and I can't seem to narrow it down.
So I saw Pitch Perfect 3, and you played bass in the Evermoist, right?
I did, yes.
So
the bassist.
How was that experience for you? Because I've got to assume that's your biggest movie.
Oh my God. Well, it was my first movie, to be honest. I mean, I was in short films all over NYU and all kinds of weird stuff over the years, indie stuff, but like, that was my first feature film. It was amazing. I can't even believe it happened. And yet the stars aligned, and I was able to meet with Trish, the director, and, you know, I got called, I think it was the next day, and given an offer for the part. And it was daunting in a really good way because I'd never done it before, and I'm the type of person that likes to feel like I'm a veteran of the thing. And I went in there and met all these amazingly talented female actresses, these singers and performers. I just jumped right in, and it was really easy in that, like, I felt like it was natural for me, and it was a good environment for me. And I loved the girls in Evermoist. You know, we went in the studio with Harvey Mason and actually cut the song. So, like, that's really me on the bass. And it's not a super hard song, but I felt really excited because I was like, yay, I did a good recording on the bass. That's cool. And, like, there's this little solo part that I finally got. And we had to do a show and tell for the producers, and not for lack of planning on their part. They probably just didn't know. They assumed, like, oh, these guys are musicians. They're just going to jump in and be able to play the song together. But we were like, oh, we need to, like, rehearse before we do this show and tell thing for everybody in the whole production, like all the executives and the whole cast. And so we rented this place, Tyler Perry Studios. That came through. I called one of my friends in Atlanta, and he had the studio booked, but Joy Williams had this connection with Tyler Perry, and we went in there and had this badass space, and we all just plugged in and, like, played over and over again, and we had so much fun. And it was like that throughout the whole filming. Like, Whiskey Shivers, which is Saddle Up in the movie, they're this super badass band from Austin. They're like, I forget what trash grass, whiskey grass, I forget what they call themselves, but they play bluegrass, and they're barefoot, and they play everything, and it's amazing. And so their banjo player, James Booker, was just ripping on every song in between takes. He was, like, getting us all to sing. He had Queen, he'd pull out TLC, he'd pull out Backstreet Boys, he pulled out anything on that banjo, and we were all just singing, the Bellas, everybody were all singing together, Ruby. It was so much fun, really cool. Everyone was wonderful. Good vibes, good vibes. I wouldn't call it strenuous, but it was work. And so that was an experience for me. Like, it was pretty, intense and lots of standing and waiting and focusing. And, so it does take a lot out of you. It really is hard work. I really, really want to try to do more of it. So I'm going to try to jump in the indie scene here and see if I can get some more screen time to build up my reel.
Cool.
But the music part and the performance part was easy. I just had to be myself. That was fun.
Again, it goes back to how important it is to be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you do play a few instruments, but I heard somewhere, somebody told me that you play the piano so well you can play it with your feet.
I can play the piano with my feet. I play with my big toes, and I can play heart and soul with the saxophone and my feet on the piano as a duet with myself.
That's amazing.
My parents made me do that for everyone all the time. Like, I was a circus trick that they could share with our company and our family. It was, so I got that one down.
That is awesome. Tell me about how you got hooked up with
Well, let me tell you a tale of two girls in a city. Not two cities, just one. And these two girls meet because they looked alike, and everyone kept confusing them for each other. So they met, ultimately formed. No, I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm being so silly. When I had moved here and was on Crazy Heart, everybody in the music scene in Nashville was sort of afluster with this new show. And Raelyn caught wind of it, Raelyn Nelson. And so she's friends with my friend, our mutual friend, obviously now, Lindsay Garrick. And Lindsay is an amazing writer, makeup artist. She used to tour with kids. She's just this amazing woman, and her husband is Chuck Garrick, and he plays with Alice Cooper. He plays bass. So they're recent Nashville comers. Lots of rock and rollers are moving to Nashville. So they're our friends, and I was hanging out with Lindsay, and she's like, "Oh my God, you have to meet Raelyn. You remind me so much of Raelyn. I think you guys would be great friends." And it all kind of culminated, and Raelyn came to one of my shows at the Basement, and she had tweeted out to me on social media that she was Team Hannah on the show because she saw me getting beat up by people, not physically, verbally. And so she and I became fast friends. I couldn't believe that she had 3 children. I was like, how do you have the children and you do your solo career and she homeschools them? I don't know, just stunned and in awe of her. I was like, I have to learn more. And we met for coffee and we were just like buddies right away. And so we were friends for a long time before we started writing songs. And then one summer, we just were sitting on my back porch where I am right now. And we were, we kind of just jokingly deemed that summer the bad decision summer. But we were drinking lots of beer and hanging out. And we started writing. We wrote All Hell, and which has a Fox in the Hen House, by the way, in lyric. It made me think of the Nickel Creek thing you said earlier.
That's funny.
But yeah, it just happened super organically. Like, we weren't trying to form a duo. We weren't trying really anything. It sort of just happened out of a fun, organic place. We didn't have to think about where we were going. It's weird. Like, the sound of it wasn't thought about. It just kind of continued to come out that way. We came up with the first 2 songs. Up in Smoke is actually about when Raelyn's house burnt down. Because the house burnt down that winter after we started writing songs. And she lived then, the rental house that she was in with her kids was just up the street from me, really, like a mile away. So while her house was being rebuilt, she was there for a whole year, and we hung out a lot, and like watched each other's kids and made pet potlucks or like made meals together and stuff. And so we started to write a lot during that time. There's a lot to write about, and kind of took off from there. And everything has been spontaneous with that, the chaps and all that. It's just been decisions on the fly because there are no no's and we try every harebrained idea we come up with, which is pretty fun. It's pretty fun to be in a project with a buddy. It's really cool.
Well, it sounds awesome. Can I play one of songs?
Oh my gosh, please do. Absolutely.
Do you want to pick it?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Let's hit him with Good Love.
Good Love. Here's Good Love from the new album.
I'm gonna drop out.
Okay. Better luck. Better luck. You want someone who can stay, but I've got some roads to go down. You got a smile that takes my breath away, but I've come too far to turn around. You're looking for somebody else. You barely even know yourself. But have you seen the darker side of love? Love, good love. Sometimes gotta wait, hard to get it right the first time. Yeah, slow down, give yourself a break. Better luck the next time. Not playing hard to get ain't easy when I'm the one you want. And do you know enough to really need me? I can't undo what's been done. We barely had the time to meet. You nearly swept me off my feet. You haven't seen the darker side of love. Love, good love. Sometimes gotta wait, hard to get it right the first time. Yeah, slow down, give yourself a break. Better luck the next time. Next time. Next time. Good luck. Sometimes gotta wait, hard to get it right the first time. Good luck. Sometimes gotta wait, hard to get it right the first time. Yeah, slow down, give yourself a break. Better luck the next time. Next time. Next time. Good luck. Sometimes gotta wait, hard to get it right the first time. Yeah, slow down, give yourself a break. Better luck the next time. Next time. Next time. Better luck.
What's the album called?
Mm-hmm. It's literally called.
Now, did you do some work with Taco Mouth?
I did, yeah. They asked me to sing on their EP. You know, I'm friends with Erica and Ange, and have since become friends with everybody, Sean and everybody Flip, and Erica's the lead singer now. And they needed a singer, and they actually did ask me to sing with them as a band, but I loved doing the EP. It was really, really cool, and it felt like such a fun vibe, but I feel like I had too much going on already with just, you know, Hannah Fairlight music and with the stuff that started to take off. So I didn't want to bite off more than I could chew, and I mean, man, I'm super happy for them because they are flying, but like, I'm trying to imagine life if I were trying to split myself 3 ways. My husband would probably kill me. So I think it was the right decision, but they have an awesome singer with Erica, and it's with the stuff they're doing with Michael Wagner, it's sounding kick-ass. And so I'm so excited for them.
Very cool. people in your circle play for Gene Simmons, your husband does, and then a friend or somebody plays for Alice Cooper?
Yeah, Chuck Garrick. He's the bass player for Alice Cooper. You got to understand, like, everybody here plays with somebody for the most part. I mean, a lot of people do, you know. I mean, we hope to. We all need a gig. My husband's a guitar player, but he's not like a session guy. I mean, he's a live guy, and he's totally like a kick-ass hired gun, but it has to be like, I don't know, a good fit. And he is extremely well-versed in Kiss, let's just say. He's been a Kiss fan his whole life, and he knows he's ace, basically. Like, he can play all the ace stuff because he's always taken that on, and like they have a Kiss cover band here in town, but they also have all these other projects. I mean, Jared plays in this band called Big Rock Show, and they play, you know, 80s metal covers, but like it's so awesome live. They just want to recreate that experience for everybody, and they've gotten to, you know, go to Vegas, and they've gotten to go on all these cruises, and so it's great work, and it's really fun, and it's with our buddies. Like, it's all culminated into, you know, these guys getting to play with one of their heroes, which is awesome. My husband hosts with a couple of the other guys, hosts a thing called the Rock and Roll Residency here every Tuesday night at Mercy Lounge. And it's been going for 4 years now, and they only intended to do it for 1 month when they just had like a dry work month. Bill Schauf and Jeremy Asbrock, my husband, were, you know, wanting to fill up some space and do something cool and do it what they wanted. And Chuck Garrett played bass on those first 4 weeks of the residency with them and kind of started it with them before he had to get back on the road again. So it's just been this really awesome, like, oh, and Alice came and played one time. And it was at Dan McGinnis Pub, which is a smaller venue, and they've kind of expanded a little bit and moved to Mercy. But Alice Cooper actually came when he played his show. That after he had played his big arena show, he turned around and came to the small club and did this kick-ass set with his band. It was like so cool to see him play in a dive bar in Nashville. It was amazing.
Were you there for that?
So I sure was. Absolutely, I was. I'm trying to remember. I don't think Rory was born yet. If he was with me.
Wow, that sounds really cool.
I can't remember. I have brain fog, but I've taken Rory to like every single one almost. I'm such a weird mom. I just don't want to miss it. I love the show.
Sure, it sounds really cool. What's your husband's name?
His name is Jeremy Asbrock.
So, has an album that's available now, and the link to that album will be in the show notes, so scroll down. What's on the horizon for Hannah Fairlight?
I mean, I'm literally like, I don't know why I have to be secretive about it. I am planning another album. I have all of the pieces. I have all the songs. I'm just deciding if I want to use mainly the recordings I have or some combinations of recordings that I have and some new recordings, and sort of plotting that out in my mind. So I don't want to give any timeline or anything yet and be too hopeful. I've been trying to get something out for a minute, and it's just been a lot. But I have plenty of songs, and it's probably going to be a more introspective album, very stripped down, just kind of showcasing my songwriting and storytelling, and more focused on that, and not these, you know, I kind of did a bigger production thing with Michael Wagner this past time, which I love. I mean, I thought it was a really cool collaboration. It'll be a full-length album, and I can't tell you much more because I have to keep it a mystery.
Well, when there is more information, can people find it at hannahfairlight.com?
Yes, they can.
Fantastic.
And I also encourage everybody to follow me at Hannah Fairlight on Instagram. Mainly is my main source there. Another good place to check out if people are interested, because I sort of post weird stuff that are kind of secret, self-produced old recordings and stuff that you can grab and download if you're feeling audacious. Bandcamp, my hannahfairlight.bandcamp.com is, you'll find a wealth, or bandcamp.com/Hannah Fairlight, actually, I think that's how you do it. You'll find a wealth of sort of more of what I do there outside of the albums that are out on all the other platforms. So Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. There you go.
All those links will be in the show notes, guys, so scroll down. I have one more question for you, Hannah. Can you give me reasons, maybe 10 reasons to attend a Hannah Fairlight show?
That's where you found out I could play with my toes. If you dig enough, you can find really silly stuff that I put out there because I'm silly. Yeah, I could give you 10 reasons. It's really fun. It'll blow your mind. Can you think of anybody that can do this? I have a wolf tattoo. I wear crop tops. I don't remember the rest of them. You should just come see me perform. It's really good.
Awesome. And how much fun is it doing
Well, we're going to Duluth, Georgia this July 13th. It's a Friday the 13th. And that's at the Red Clay Theater. Red Clay Foundry, I think is officially its name. Eddie Owen runs it. You know, he was the former owner and ran Eddie's Attic, and now he's got that place there. And he's a wonderful dude, and it's a great reason for people in Atlanta or, you know, cross my fingers, Athens or any of those surrounding areas to make their way there and hang out. It's a beautiful theater, and yeah, we're super excited for that. And then after that, we have this vast quilt of unfinished landscape, and then I don't know what that means. And then we have September 7th when we're playing at the Whiskey A Go Go in LA. It's going out there, so we're sort of working to build out the rest of August and then do this California run where we might add some shows around that too. So exciting times in land.
Very cool. Very cool. Hannah Fairlight, thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with me today. I appreciate it.
Hey, no sweat. Thank you so much for having me, Steve.
Absolutely my pleasure. Thanks, Hannah.
Cheers. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
Hey guys, Steve Owens here. I'm here to tell you about the coolest subscription-based monthly curator of men's fashion, the Menlo Club. Here's how it works. When you sign up at menlohouse.com, you choose your color and style categories. Then, each month, they send several pieces of clothing specially selected for you, all for $60 per month, tax and shipping included. Items like button-ups, both long and short-sleeved, t-shirts, shorts, jeans, pants, sweaters, athleisure wear, even sunglasses and shoes. And as a special deal for my listeners, if you sign up and use promo code FSP, you'll receive 50% off your first month's package, plus a pair of 5'4" brand sneakers and socks. So sign up today at menlohouse.com and use promo code FSP, as in Fascination Street Podcast, at checkout.
Opening music is the song Magnolia from the 2014 album In Transigence, used with permission from Douglas Miles Clark. Closing music is Apollo from the 2001 album Into the Known by the band Sapphire. Thanks for hanging out with us and getting to know a little bit about our guest. We'll see you next time on Fascination Street.